On the eve of an Ohio Republican Senate primary awash in hatred and seethe, two driving candidates stuck near to their tribes Monday, fortifying fight lines in a race that has gotten to be a submission on previous President Donald Trump. Partners of Trump and his favored candidate, Bernie Moreno, barnstormed the state, cautioned that a vote Tuesday for State Senator Matt Dolan would bargain a blow to their MAGA development. Dolan, in the meantime, campaigned here with Gov. Mike DeWine, who, in spite of quarreling with the right-wing base, has remained prevalent among moderates and independents key to Dolan's amalgamation. The last-minute surge, which taken after a weekend rally that Trump featured for Moreno, reflected a challenge for the GOP assignment to confront law base Senator Sherrod Brown in November that numerous see as a toss-up. Surveys have appeared a two-way race between Moreno and Dolan, with State Secretary of State straight to the point LaRose falling back within the pack and huge numbers of voters undecided. The person we assign needs to win in November, DeWine, a pillar of Ohio GOP legislative issues, who misplaced his Senate situate to Brown in 2006, told a swarm packed into the back room of a bar in Columbus Germantown neighborhood. This isn't planning to be a straightforward race, folks. I've run against this man, so I can talk that it'll not be simple, but it's doable, DeWine added. Very exceptionally doable. And of the three candidates, they all seem win. But the individual clearly has the leading shot at winning within the drop is Matt Dolan. I think our common sense tells us that. DeWine's occasion with Dolan drew an after-work swarm of generally 75 Republicans within the state capitol, counting a few partners of previous Ohio Gov. John Kasich. Kasich, an NBC News donor, has been a vocal fault-finder of Trump since he misplaced to him within the 2016 GOP presidential essential campaign. As guests tasted lagers and snacked on appetizers, DeWine contended that Dolan is the primary's genuine traditionalist, citing approaches he has championed as the Ohio Senate's budget chief. Not one or the other he nor Dolan assaulted anybody by title, in spite of the fact that Dolan emphasized that he has beated Trump among voters in intensely law-based Cuyahoga District, which incorporates Cleveland. There's a parcel of distinctive components in a campaign, DeWine told correspondents after the occasion. This campaign eventually is not about Mike DeWine. It's not about Donald Trump. It's truly who's getting to speak to Ohio. Dolan has displayed himself as a winner of Trump approaches, but recognizes having a much diverse, milder identity. He drew a few unpretentious contrasts Monday that appeared to apply to Trump and the band of MAGA World devotees who hurried into Ohio over the final week to campaign for Moreno. I have battled and gotten results, since in the event that you're not getting comes about, you're fair yelling, and we've had as well much yelling in our country, Dolan said, taking after DeWine on stage at the bar. This is what we got to do as Republicans. We ought to recognize that civility in legislative issues isn't a shortcoming. And we ought to judge strength not on how boisterous we are, but how much we get done for the American people, he included as he concluded his comments. Inquired a while later whether he was leveling those reactions at Trump and Moreno. Dolan stated that he was making a critique of Washington. Moreno and his partners have been much more coordinate in their assaults on Dolan. Taking after Trump's combative cues Saturday, Moreno closed with a message of sharp insuperable and imagery. Mitt Dolan, Moreno and Arizona Senate candidate Kari Lake, a conspicuous MAGA figure, emphasized at campaign stops. The poke was implied to bring out Glove Romney, Utah, the GOP's candidate for president in 2012, and presently a prominent Trump pundit abhorred on the right. Moreno, too, has branded Dolan as a swamp rhino, or Republican in title as it were. He has complained that old guard GOP pioneers stab us in the back. At one occasion, Moreno called on voters to stab it right within the heart and make it clear that in Ohio, we put America first. At another, He energized them to make old guard establishment Republicans finally terminated here in Ohio. At a little coffee house Monday morning in Ottawa, in western Ohio, generally 75 voters packed interior for a sea of Lake and Senator G.D. Vance, R. Ohio, both of whom have built national followings, with Moreno basically serving as their warm-up act. Lake and Vance preceded the ambush on Dolan and the foundation. "I call him doormat, since I found out he could be a doormat to the woke mob," Lake said, picking up a Trump line of assault, approximately how the Major League Baseball establishment, possessed by Dolan's family, changed the team's title from the Cleveland Indians to the Gatekeepers. Dolan has said he was not included with the rebranding, which came in the midst of concerns that the previous name was hostile to Native Americans. After the occasion, Moreno, an affluent businessman who has loaned his campaign more than $4 million, brushed aside questions around the risks displayed by Dolan, who has loaned himself $10 million. "It's not that he has appeal," Moreno said. "It's that he's got an interminable sum of resources. When Carrie and I have to raise money, we got to choose up the phone and begin calling friends. He picks up the phone and calls mother, and after that picks up the phone and calls dad. When you have got the sitting representative and an earlier representative that are weighing in on a race, since they need to protect the old foundation, it's difficult to overcome that," Moreno included, alluding to DeWine and previous Senator Ransack Portman of Ohio, another Dolan sponsor. "Especially when you're someone who's never been in public office, never been on a ballot." Neither Moreno nor Dolan has appeared concerned around binding together the party after a divisive essential. The more imperative address is the switch, since the reality is Matt Dolan has called the base decision deniers and conspiracy theorists. Moreno said Sunday, when asked how he would keep Dolan supporters within the crease in the event that he wins the designation. "It's my adversary that has went through boundless assets bashing me. And the reality is on March 20, we're reaching to be one completely united, in spite of the fact that possibly a slightly dysfunctional Republican family." Dolan too utilized a family similarity. "Actually, I think the media makes more out of that than I do," he told NBC News on Sunday after guest bartending at a St. Patrick's Day celebration within the Cleveland suburb of Willoughby. "We're inquiring them to choose among family. I did that typically intense, but when they make their choice and I win, they'll rally." But at Moreno's rally Sunday closed Cincinnati, a few voters promised not to bolster Dolan within the common decision in the event that he wins the designation. "I won't vote in that race," Claudia Herod said. "I can't vote for Sherrod Brown, but I do not think I could vote for either LaRose or Dolan. They conversation out both sides of their mouth, and they're rhinos.